What the Puck links Love Actually and Die Hard?
How is Bruce Willis both moonlighting and not moonlighting at the same time?
Why was John McClane almost an old age pensioner?
And is Bruce Willis the only person in the world to use Bing?
Yes?
Yeah.
No one else is using that bad
No one
boy.
else is using.
Merry Christmas, everyone!
Oh.
Hello and welcome to Every Single Bells You Didn't Need to Know Ho-Ho About. Today we are talking Every Single Bells You Didn't Need to Know Ho-Ho about two topics. Ooh, it's a Christmas miracle. We are talking about 1. Die Hard. 2. Love Actually. As always, we'll be telling you our favourite facts about these two wonderful Christmas movies. And at the end of the podcast, we'll be picking a winner, the person who has given us the best fact of the day. Oh, who's that going to be? Is it going to be Thom Adams? Is it going to be Nathan Kenny? Is it going to be Jennifer Jewell? Or is it going to be me, Sam Gruber? We shall find out. John McClane.
Very good.
If you had been Hans Gruber, you would have had better German.
I know. Hans Gruber, as played by the late, great Alan Rickman. Actually, it was his first movie role. He was 41.
Yeah, he'd been in Hollywood for 3 days.
Yeah.
Wow. He did a good line in sort of dubious ethnicity villains, didn't he? Like Sheriff of Nottingham, Hans Gruber, Snape.
Cheating husband in Love Actually.
Exactly. Yep. How could he do that to Emma Thompson?
Yeah, someone pointed out if you watch Love Actually and then immediately watch Die Hard, he gets his comeuppance for cheating on her with Mia.
Oh, that's great. Did you know that Hans Gruber was almost played by our friend of the podcast, Nigel Neal? Sam Neill almost played him.
Oh, wow. With a German accent, or would he have gone for sort of...
He would have done just a Kiwi accent.
Yeah. G'day, McLean.
We are the boys from down on the farm. We really know that. Jeez.
We got some hostages here in Nakatomi Plaza. Yeah. We're going to kill them.
We're going to blow him up unless you fellas give us a helicopter.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't a question.
Don't be a sad guy, man. Give us a fucking helicopter, hey. Nakatomi Plaza was owned by Fox, and they rented it out to themselves to film Die Hard.
That was probably the Hollywood accounting thing where they charge mega amounts of money, so they end up losing money on every single film that they ever make, and end up getting tax breaks from the government.
Speaking of casting, they wanted because it was supposed to be like a classic action movie, and they wanted every different action hero possible. They went to like De Niro, they went to like Charles Bronson, Arnold Schwarzenegger turned it down, and then they went with Bruce Willis, who was at that time a comedy actor. Yeah. In the show Moonlighting.
Is this your fact, perchance?
This is my fact. Here we go. So he was in Moonlighting, and they were like, "Do you want to be an action hero?" And he's like, "Yeah, but I'm in this show Moonlighting." And then with Sybil Shepherd, and it was kind of like his big break and her like return break. And it's like a detective agency, and there's like sexy tension and all that stuff as they can solve crimes. She got pregnant, and so they put the filming on hiatus for about 11 weeks. And so he was like, "Yeah, sweet, I'll be in the film." But they almost didn't think he was going to like sell the film, so they took him off the posters and basically just they're like, the building is the main event.
11 weeks isn't long enough to have a baby.
It is if you're a cat.
Sybil Shepherd is a cat? Whoa. You heard it.
You're going to go out on a limb and say it was probably towards the end of her pregnancy rather than like conception to 11 and a half weeks.
Gotcha.
Also, 11 weeks does also seem like quite a short amount of time to film Die, but I guess it's all in one location, so it's probably quite sweet.
People were still working in the building while they were filming.
Yeah, that must have been so irritating. The building that we work in at the moment, there's someone doing construction on the floor above us, and every now and again, you're just like, "Oh, this is so frustrating and difficult to concentrate." Can you imagine if you had Bruce Willis rolling around upstairs and pyrotechnics going on? Because did you hear about the guns that they used? I mean, guns on film sets is obviously a little bit of an interesting topic at the moment. But they deliberately packed the blanks to be so much louder than normal blanks so that they would get that exaggerated muzzle fire. And
that's cool.
So Bruce Willis is actually partially deaf in one ear because of the scene where he's under the table and he shoots one of the interchangeable Germans. And that's not racist, it's a plot point. And he shoots him, but the gun goes off right next to his head. And because of that, he still has hearing loss to this day.
Alan Rickman would flinch every time he fired a gun. So he's only in one shot firing a gun, and you can see him kind of flinch while he does it. They edited all the other ones out to show reaction shots when he did it because he kept going, "Ah!"
But his character kind of, for the first half of the film, his character does seem to be quite averse to violence. But then the second half of the film, he's just like bang, 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 bang. So probably not.
Bang, bang, bangity, bang. Die Hard is based on a novel called Nothing Lasts Forever, which is actually the sequel to another novel called The Detective.
I would have called the first novel This Will Last Forever.
But the first book, The Detective, was made into a movie in 1968 starring Frank Sinatra. So when they went to make Die Hard, they contractually had to offer the role of John McClane to the original person who played that character, Frank Sinatra, but he turned it down because he went like, oh, I'm probably not the best action hero at the moment because I'm 73 years old.
Also played by Kiwi.
Yeah.
Oh, nah, I'm 75, mate. But old.
But I think it would be amazing to watch that scene with John McClane going through the ventilation duct, but like shimmying his Zimmer frame through as well.
Now
That'd be
I
incredible.
know how a TV dinner feels.
Yeah.
Wasn't John McClane, was it? He had a different name in the...
Yeah, he was Joe Leland.
Joe Leland, yeah. And in the book, it's his daughter that he's visiting, not his estranged ex-wife.
Again, speaking of casting, one of the things that I found going to Love Actually, our other film that we'll hopefully talk about, I didn't realize. So they keep calling him the little drummer boy, and they keep like, oh, he got real hot. But
Thomas Sangster.
Yeah, Thomas Sangster. He was 13 when it was filmed, and Keira Knightley was 18.
Oh.
It makes things even creepier. Yeah.
Well, they're not really in a part together, but like she's 18 in that film. I didn't.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't the guy she's marrying like in his late 30s?
Yeah.
I think he was like 30 something, which is it is just that whole storyline needs to be excised from the film because it's just grim on so many levels. But the fact that she's 18 makes it about 25 times worse.
The actor Andrew Lincoln was like, this is a bit stalky, right?
But then one of his mates said that he got his comeuppance by all those zombies getting him in Walking Dead.
I didn't realize that was him.
The guy!
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I loved him from the TV show Teachers as well.
One of my favorite things about Love Actually is that it was written by a New Zealander. Richard Curtis was born in New Zealand, in Wellington.
What?
Yeah,
Really?
he's one of us. Yeah.
Why do we not have literal statues of him? We put up
Exactly
statues
right.
of everyone.
So Richard Curtis is one of my favorite people because more so, Tom, you've talked about how the Muppets were your introduction to comedy. Mine was through the Rowan Atkinson Live, which he co-wrote with Richard Curtis. And since then they've gone on to do everything. Angus Deaton's in it. It's the best comedy thing I've ever seen in my life. I actually had one of the sketches read out at my wedding. It was great. Yeah, so Richard Curtis wrote the film. He is then also in the film. He plays the trombonist in that wedding scene. But Richard Curtis was inspired to do the song in the wedding thing because he was at Jim Henson's funeral where people sang. And he was like, I really like this. I'm going to put this in the movie Love Actually.
And now we're going to go to our regular segment on the show, Births, Deaths and Marriages with Sam Smith. Sam.
So did you know Alan Rickman was born the exact same day as C-3PO? Anthony Daniels.
C-3PO is not real.
Oh, Jen.
That can't be true because that was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
But somehow it's still futuristic, so I think that averages out to be the same.
Plus,
same
Alan
age.
Rickman's also dead, so clearly he's real old as well.
Oh, and did you know that Bruce Willis was born 120 days before Disneyland opened?
I imagine your Google search has a shortcut for link to Disneyland or related to Disneyland opening day.
Disneyland took 1 year to make, and it means that Bruce Willis and the building of Disneyland started this about the same time, which means that...
No, Sam, as we've established, it takes about 11 weeks to make a baby.
Yeah. Oh, yes, sorry, yeah.
Okay, Love Actually, what's everyone's favorite storyline?
Ooh.
I like the porn stars.
Oh, they're so sweet.
It's
the whole way through
Stacey from Gavin and Stacey.
I have to go with Colin, God of Sex. It's just fantastic. Anyway.
Did you know that Richard Curtis personally wrote a letter to Laura Linney, Billy Bob Thornton, and Denise Richards to be in Love Actually? Just be like, hey guys, could you be in my movie, please? And Laura Linney said, no one's ever written me a letter before. Yeah, of course I'll do it. And she was filming a movie called Mystic River at the time. And so
Oh,
she
yeah.
had to fly back and forth to do both of those films at the same time.
Is that why she looks
so-
so harried in all of her scenes?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Rude,
hate
but
that.
yes.
I actually that's the storyline that, even though it's like the saddest, it's the one I can't handle because it's just so
Yeah.
tragic. Like
So
even the other stuff is
sad.
just so awful.
Yeah.
It's just so tragic.
Did you guys realize that Laura Linney is the wife in the Truman Show?
I don't know if I've ever actually seen The Truman Show.
I-
If I can just quickly answer your question, Tom, I think my favourite story is the Octopus Nativity.
Did you know that the Spider-Man kid is Richard Curtis's son, and the second lobster is Richard Curtis's daughter? Oh,
Aw.
So cute. You know how there's the horrible child? Emma Thompson's eldest son is Horrible Bernard. There is a character called Bernard in every one of Richard Curtis's films who is a dickhead because Richard Curtis was bullied at school by a kid called Bernard.
I love
And
that.
he has chosen to work through that trauma by just maliciously putting that kid's likeness in every film he makes.
Richard Curtis is from Wellington, did you say, Sam?
Richard
Yeah.
Curtis
My
is
dad's
a
from
penny
Wellington.
penny bench.
Oh
It's
no.
your dad's name, Kenny. Oh my gosh.
When
When was
on
your
behalf
dad
of my
born?
father, I'm sorry, Richard.
So Richard Curtis was born in 1956.
My dad was born in 55. Did he go to St. Pat's Silverstream by any chance?
Incredible.
He had-
Incredible.
This is a bombshell. This is a bigger bombshell than that bomb that didn't blow up as much on Die Hard.
Did you guys know that the most German person in the cast of Die Hard is not Hans Gruber at all, who's British? It's
It's Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis, who was born in West Germany.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just love that when the film was re-released in Germany, they redubbed all of the German characters with the English equivalent of their names and just had them as generic Europeans. They were like, these accents are so shit, no one will recognize they're supposed to be German, so we'll just call them European.
I think they had them as Irish.
Oh, they're supposed to be Irish terrorists.
Yeah.
But they're just kind of referred to as the Europeans.
Yeah, that's great.
But Bruce Willis being German makes a lot of sense now because Yippee-ki-yay is German for I respectfully disagree.
I'm going to jump in here because my fact about Bing was related to this Yippee-ki-yay thing. And apparently Yippee-ki-yay was taken from a Bing Crosby song in the 1930s about the lonely cowherd or something like that. And he sings about Yippee-ki-yay.
High on a hill was a lonely
That's
cow.
what I was thinking.
I don't think he says motherfucker for some reason.
I think that's in the extended edit.
That's the worst thing about the one of the sequels. I think it's like Die Hard or something. The fourth one, Die Hard 4.0, when he's like Yippee-ki-yay, mother, and then shoots, and so you don't get to hear him say motherfucker because they wanted to like cut it.
It's like
cut
in
it down
Arrested
so it's
Development
PG.
where it's like, fuck you. They cover up their mouths when they say swears.
There's no sequel to Love Actually, and I think there should be.
There is
And
a
what was-
sequel.
Is there?
The
There's
Red
the
Nose
Red,
Day.
the Red Nose Day
Yeah.
special.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Nose Day,
it's like
actually.
20 years later.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's genuinely really good, and they deliberately address some of the problematic elements of the film.
They actually dug up Alan Rickman's corpse for it as well, which I thought was a
Yeah.
bit out of line, but you know.
He
I
deserved
think
it.
that's my favorite storyline. It's quite sweet. It's quite cathartic.
Emma Thompson just tearing him in half. They're like, look at what I've done to your father. Your betrayer.
It's just starts just as a really like deep close up on her face, and then it gradually zooms out, and she's just pissing on his grave.
A CD for Christmas. Fuck your CD.
The girl who plays Mia, she's a German actress. So she was probably the one doing the pissing on someone. What's your guys' favorite Christmas movie? Mine's Jurassic World. And I have a new one that I found out today as well. Hook. Hook is a Christmas movie.
Oh, it is.
Feels like a
Yeah.
Christmas movie though. I'm going to stick with Imagine by John Lennon.
You did say Jingle All the Way last podcast.
Yeah,
but
I did say
stick with
Jingle All the
Imagine. Yeah.
I nearly said Monty Python, The Life of Brian, but that's
Go with it. It's a great
that's-
movie.
That's an Easter movie.
Christmas origin story.
Meaning of Life has Christmas in Heaven.
Oh, it does.
Yeah.
Good point.
My favorite is The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Very good movie.
But that's before Christmas.
But it's also during Christmas,
Yeah.
I think, at one point.
Did you know that Love Actually was released 108 years to the day that the Nobel Peace Prize was established?
Wow.
Clearly, that's deliberate.
So I was just going to point out that if any of you have the Love Actually DVD at home, the best scene in Love Actually was cut and is in the extended, like the bits that you have to go into in the DVD menu. It's about Alan Rickman and Emma Thompson's son, whose name I don't know, but he's talking about the wish that he made for Christmas and
Bernard.
got in trouble.
It's horrible, Bernard.
It's that farts were visible. And it's an amazing scene, and I don't know why it got
That's so
cut.
good.
Are you
There's
sure it's
another-
not the deleted scene where Sam's backstory as an Olympic gymnast is revealed and he
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
all the crazy flips and twists to Bill Nighy's cover of
Love is
Christmas
all
is
around.
all around me.
Christmas is all around us. Yeah, I was
That
trying to
is
remember what
actually
the
the best
awkward
one.
scansion was.
That's actually one of my favorite moments, is it? It's like, we understand you've added an extra syllable. He's like, yes. So if you really love Christmas.
It's so
Okay.
awkward. I love it.
So Bill Nighy
Yeah.
went to a script read through for this random script, which turned out to be Love Actually. He was doing it as a favor for his friend. And then at the end of it, they were like, yeah, well done, Bill, you've got the part. And he said, sorry, what? And he had no idea he was auditioning for this film and got the role. And it's become one of his biggest roles ever.
I love that Bill Nighy is like, I presume he was still recognized as like a very well-respected actor at that point.
Yeah.
And they were just like, do you want to just come randomly read for a role? And he was like, yeah, all right, I'll just
Yeah,
go
yeah.
read lines and get sketch movies. But speaking of deleted scenes, Kenny, there is a subplot to Love Actually that didn't make the final film that does link it to Die Hard, which is Rowan Atkinson's character, who we do
Rufus?
see trying to thwart Alan Rickman's character buying the gift for Mia, and therefore kind of cementing the cheating on his wife. And then he kind of obfuscates the security guard at the airport so that Thomas Sangster's character can get through the gates and make it to
His character is called Sam.
his character
my
is
name.
called Sam. So he kind of blocks the security guard so that Thomas Sangster's character can run through the gates and get to the airport before Joanna departs and have his little moment with her. And the original concept was that he was a Christmas angel and he was going to appear in all of the stories, kind of moving the plot along or helping. But he does it in such a way that he's kind of fucking things up for people.
Yeah.
So he's like
That's
a
great.
positive character, but just gently causing chaos the whole way through. In
So
which way he is very much like Puck from A Midsummer Night's Dream, who goes off to progress things and make things happen, but kind of does it in a really irritating way for everyone. And that links it to Die Hard because the original book, Nothing Lasts Forever, took place over 3 days, culminating on Christmas morning. But the director, who the more I read about him, the more it sounds like he was just having the most amazing trip when he was planning this thing. He decided that he was inspired by A Midsummer Night's Dream and wanted the whole action to take place over the course of one day and night.
Go.
Oh.
Yep.
And it's also at the very end of A Midsummer Night's Dream when he's like, if we shadows have offended, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker, players ended.
I like that version from the second folio. It's,
So
it's
good.
much more poetic. Yeah.
I like it when they all gather at the end outside the Nakatomi Plaza and they all sing "All I Want for Christmas Is You, Motherfucker."
You motherfucker.
So if you really love motherfucking, come on and let it snow.
Jingle all the yippee-ki-yay. That could be another.
Oh, that's
You
good.
know.
How is that not like a Die Hard spin-off?
I've never seen Die Hard, and I only just learned this week that all the time John McClane throughout the movie is just chatting with Urkel's dad. No,
Yeah.
Urkel's next door neighbor from Family Matters.
It's so bizarre. They said that they didn't want it to be perceived as a comedy, and that, as Tom was saying, that's why they took Bruce Willis off the posters, because they didn't want people to see Bruce Willis and think, "Oh, cool, a fun comedy." And yet they have all these unnecessary bits where he's just chatting shit into a walkie-talkie for comic relief. It's
great.
so bizarre.
Comic relief was invented by Richard Curtis.
It was, and that's what Love. Oh wait, yeah, that's what Love Actually sequel benefited.
Die Hard has some really, really realistic bits, like when he's walking without feet on the glass and gets without feet and all
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of thing.
I still haven't seen that scene because it was too horrific.
Love
He was
actually
wearing-
has some deeply, deeply unrealistic bits, like sprinting through Heathrow with security guards telling you to stop and good things happening.
It was a simpler time, Kenny, and he's a small, cute child. I'm sure it would be fine.
This was still after 9/11. They
Shush.
mentioned 9/11 in
This
Love
would have been
Actually.
about the time that guy in the tube tried to
Oh,
get
yeah,
away
but
gently from the cop.
Yeah, but Thomas Sangster is white.
I still wouldn't recommend it, ladies and gentlemen.
And to go back to your point about Bruce Willis walking through broken glass with his quote unquote bare feet, do we think that's because that's another link to Richard Curtis? Because he was wearing giant fake hobbit feet in those scenes.
Yeah.
And Richard Curtis is a New Zealander, and all New Zealanders are part Hobbit. So
Do you know who's also in The Hobbit? The porn star from Love Actually.
Oh yeah, Martin
Well,
Freeman.
no, the standard.
The standard, yeah.
yeah, they couldn't afford to get the actual porn star, so they just got Martin Freeman instead.
They used them in the Collins set. So
Yeah,
it's fine.
he certainly played around with that ring a lot, didn't he?
Tom, no.
Oh, Did you guys know that there's only one storyline in Love Actually that doesn't connect with any of the other ones? And that's Bill Nighy's one, the Billy Mack one with his thing. They don't interact
No.
with
But
anyone else.
his song scores a lot of the scenes.
That's right, but it
Yeah.
scores basically the whole show.
And he also has possibly the best line at hello and or dick.
I used to work on Jono or Ben at New Zealand, and we used to say that joke. Yeah.
I genuinely still don't know which one is Ant and which one is Dick, and it's not necessary to tell them apart because they're never in anything on their own.
They always stand Ant and Dick. If you're looking at them on screen, they'll always Ant and Dick, and it's the same with Jono
What
and
about
Ben.
when they're before the courts for dodgy things? Or is
Does that happen?
that's one of them? I don't want to say a name in case
I
I'm
think
wrong.
it's Dick got done for drunk driving.
Oh, right.
You're going to wear here for libel with everything you need to know about libel.
But you know that Ant and Dick live next door to each other, and they have identical houses.
But only
That's
one of
actually
them
my
has a special bracelet on his ankle. So
That's actually my favorite. I'm going to do my favorite story about guys. Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. This is completely unrelated to everything except that they're English actors.
Simon Pegg almost played the character that Rowan Atkinson played in Love Actually. So there you go.
Very
Wow.
good. Okay, thus I can make the story. So they went to university together and were really poor, and so they would top and tail in the same bed for years. And they would still have sleepovers when, even when they moved out from each other. And before, I think Nick Frost's wedding, his wife said, "Oh, go have one last sleepover with Simon Pegg." And so they had one last sleepover of top and tailing.
That's so
Yeah.
Some
cute.
bachelor parties have like a stripper. Simon Pegg just got to go and sleep at his friend's house for a night.
With Nick
there was
Frost.
some pegging.
Oh. I love the idea that they were like, no, it's just because we're poor students. And everyone's like, didn't Shaun of the Dead just make millions at the box office? They're like, no, we're poor students. Go away. Leave us to our sleepovers.
Hollywood accounting.
So Rowan Atkinson and Richard Curtis met at Oxford University, where they wrote sketches together, much like how the four of us met, which was really
Not
nice.
at Oxford University. We should.
Sorry, Kenny was the only one who went to Oxford University. Sorry.
I'll have you
And
know that
wasn't
I've
Emma
read.
Thompson the first female president of Footlights?
Yes, she was.
Speaking
was.
of famous sketch writers, she's just amazing, and I just want to talk about her
She
all
is
the time
amazing.
because she's wonderful.
She wrote Sense and Sensibility and won an Oscar
Well,
for it.
Jane Austen wrote it first, and
Who?
then she adapted it.
Disagree. Emma Thompson wrote it.
There's at the Jane Austen Museum in Bath. There's a really cute handwritten letter from from Emma Thompson, thanking them for all of their help when she was making the screenplay of Sense and Sensibility.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So her first thing was that she was in the Cambridge Footlights that went to Edinburgh with Stephen Fry, Hugh Laurie, and Tony Slattery, who you might know from Whose Lines It Anyway. And I think Stephen
And
Fry and Hugh
nothing
Laurie
else.
have done other things as well.
So talking about the Cambridge Footlights crew, Stephen Fry helped Emma Thompson when she was writing Sense and Sensibility because her computer crashed and apparently she couldn't get it to work again. And because he's been really into computers, he had one of the first 2 Apple computers in the world. And so she took her computer she was wearing her dressing gown. She climbed in a cab with her computer cradled in her arms, drove to Stephen Fry's house. He helped her restore the computer and get the script back. And then she submitted it and won the Oscar for it for Best Screenplay.
Wow. Did you know that Stephen Fry has spat on me?
How much did you pay for that?
What
Because
about it?
you're
Well, it was like $120. We went to see
Cameos
him.
are cheap these days.
Yeah, we went to see his show here in Auckland, and I sat in the front row, and I paid the most expensive money for the tickets, which was totally worth it. And before the
Must be
show, I tweeted, "Oh, look how close I am to the stage!" And he came up and he went, "Hey, is Sam Smith here?" And I was like, "Yes, Stephen Fry." And he said, "Oh, you've got to watch out because I spit while I talk." And when he said spit, a huge bit of spit went, and they had it right on my forehead.
Didn't catch
And
it.
that's why you've never washed your forehead
Never washed
since
it
that day.
ever since.
There's nothing compared to what Stephen Fry's done to Tom's shirt. So,
I think I'll find that there are snowbursts.
I
Looks
feel
like Christmas
the,
is coming early this year.
It is.
I feel like the UV light decorations were possibly a mistake in hindsight, Tom.
I've been jingling some bells, is all I gotta say.
I wore this Christmas jumper to work a couple of years ago now. It was when I was still living in the UK, and I was on the tube, and this guy across the carriage who was drunk, in fairness, it was 9 o'clock in the morning, went, "Jingle your bells," and I thought he was just being disgusting, but it's because my jumper actually has bells on it. But I still did not.
And that man became the Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson. No, it's well done.
Don't be silly. Boris Johnson would never catch the tube. That's for poor people.
True. Well, I think we should probably wrap up now. What a wonderful run through of Die Hard and Love Actually, and of course many other things. So let's go through quickly and we'll just recap what our facts were. Go for it, Jen.
So Rowan Atkinson's puckish character in Love Actually links the film with Die Hard, which apparently was somehow inspired by A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Tom.
Bruce Willis wasn't originally going to be in Die Hard, but because the show he was in, Moonlighting, was paused for 11 weeks, he was able to moonlight in Die Hard from Moonlighting.
So John McClane was almost played by old age pensioner Mr. Frank Sinatra.
And Yippee-Ki-Yay comes from a 1930s song by none other than Bing Crosby.
All right, so on the count of three, everyone vote for the person you think had the best Die Hard / Love Actually fact. On 3, 1, 2, 3, go.
So 2 for Sam,
Who for Sam?
2 for Sam?
It's a Christmas miracle! Guys, thank you so much. Merry Christmas, one and all. Thank you for watching and listening to our podcast. We love doing it. We love having you along for the ride. If you know any facts about Die Hard, any at all, even if we've said them, write them down in the comments. If you've made up some facts, write them down in the comments. Like this video, subscribe, tell your friends to listen. Have a very Merry Christmas. Make sure you put your presents and stuff under the tree tonight. Leave out carrots for the reindeer. Don't forget the reindeer. And we will be back next week for a wonderful wrap-up of a year. What
Happy
year?
21.
We'll see. We'll see. Thank you for listening. Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
Hey.
Merry Christmas.
Yippee-ki-yay, Merry Christmas.
What should we talk about next week?
You've already told us that.